I want to thank you all for joining me today at this great space, the Greater Wichita Partnership. This is one of those new gems in our city that we've been talking about when we changed the way we do economic development. It started right here with the Greater Wichita Partnership, and they're a big reason why we were able to keep Cargill and Wichita and do it differently than what we've been doing for the last 20 years, and appreciate the success. We had Mayor Cornett in town last week. He shared his story about Oklahoma City and the investments that they had to make, and we're seeing those investments being made in Wichita right now today. And the reality is that's why we have a lot of momentum. Cargill certainly announced their new building, the $60 million investment they're going to make in downtown Wichita, just a couple of blocks from here. That's going to be a game changer for us, and so we're excited. I mean, we had our about $1 billion Tuesday just this past week where people are investing in Wichita. So what that means is companies said, I want to invest $1 billion in Wichita. And we're going to see more of that next week when some other developers say, choose me, I want to spend millions of dollars in your city. And we're going to talk about a little bit of that here in a moment, where we're putting up a couple of parcels up for bid, basically, and we are hearing from a wide variety of investors that say, pick me, I want to invest millions of dollars in Wichita. So the reality is we have a great story to tell with a lot of momentum, and that's what brings us here today. We have a unique way to tell our story today, and I'm going to allow Jeff Longwell to help us kick this off because it's pretty neat way to share our story and talk about the momentum that we have and do things a little bit differently, and that's what we take a lot of pride in Wichita. From the time we said that we're going to change the way we do economic development and change the way we hand out incentives to the way that we tell our story, we're proud that we do things just a little bit differently in Wichita, Kansas, and it's working. So, Mr. Fleur, you want to come up? And
Mr. Mayor, thank you for this opportunity to be a part of your weekly press conference, and we appreciate your support in the City Council for not only the support, but the partnership that we have with the city to move our community forward. Also want to recognize Assistant City Manager that's here today, and Scott and his team, Tim Goodpasture and Mark Elder, for the daily opportunity to work with your team to move our city forward. We're seeing results, and we appreciate what you all do on a daily basis. And we're looking for new, unique ways to tell our story. We are becoming known as the Opportunity City. As the mayor was talking about just recently, about just a couple of days ago, a lot of things are happening in Wichita now. If you look at jobs, right now, we're going to probably by the end of the year topple over 2,000 jobs, both new and retained. Last year, that was about 1,494. So an increase in what we're seeing there. Capital investment is up, $1.2 billion this year, up from $129 million last year. Payroll, which is extremely important to our economy, up to $108 million this year, $53 million last year. All these are indicators that we're a city on the move, that we are going into a whole new opportunity. Think about WSU's Innovation Campus and Douglas Avenue right outside this door here. Last year we did a graphic that showed about $180 million of capital investment, both underway and about to start. That document's being revised right now, Mayor, and it's going to show over $250 million of investment this year, because of what's happening with Cargill, Hilton Garden Inn, and the project that you're talking about that Scott Rigby will be talking about later on. The other thing is that not only are we seeing things locally, but the national arena is also noting Wichita. If you think about number 3 in advanced industry hotspots, top 10 city for new college graduates, home to a third of the engineers in the country. Again, these are things that the national arena is seeing opportunities here as well. So, as the mayor has said, we're looking at how do we uniquely tell this story? So we challenged, if you will, our creative teams. Ken Evans with the city, working with Scott's group, Jamie Zellner, or Garnett, who is now newly married, on our team, working with the partnership and how we do that. We wanted to be purposeful in how we do it. And so we looked at who are the audiences for this. So part of it is site selectors. Over 200, there's quite a few of them in the country. We were really focusing on 200 of them from the East Coast to the West Coast. So that was one of the groups. Our primary goal with them is to be on their minds consistently. As they have projects come in, they think of Wichita. So that's part of what we want to do. Secondly is our own businesses. They truly are some of our best sales forces, if you will, because they live here, they do business here, they're growing here. So how is it that we captivate and work with them? Both of these groups are inundated with information every day. So how do you begin to uniquely place something on their desk that they'll open up and that they'll read? Secondly, we knew it needed to be interactive. They get a lot of flyers. So we wanted to do something that was different than a brochure. So again, that was taken into account. And then thirdly, we wanted them to have fun. Part of it is that we want them to see it, uniquely open it, and say, this city's got something uniquely going on. So that was part of it as well. So to start this out, Mayor, this is going to be an interactive press conference with you, sir. I'd actually need another box, Jamie.
Channel 12 already did that with me.
Did they? So what we're going to do, and actually, Scott, your team, we've got you over here. We've got some boxes for you guys too. Y'all been a part of this. So Scott and Tim and Mark join us over here. So what we're going to do is actually, as they open it up, and again, you'll see the box. Go ahead, gentlemen. You can start opening it up. What we're launching today is the Wichita View Master. Now, it's uniquely designed. It's in a plain box, as you see, but we want people to open it up to see what's going on. So when you open it up, there's going to be a piece of paper in the very beginning of it that says, having trouble picturing the perfect site, we can help. And again, they don't know who this is, so they're going to keep working through it. So we start working through some of these national accolades that we've in these rankings that we've been talking about. So important to know, it's top 10 city for 10 city actually for college graduates, working with advanced technology, working with engineers. All these are very important to note in the home buyers as far as a top tier city for that. All those things are very important. So they go through all these different aspects of this community. Who is this community? So then it's revealed that it's Wichita, Kansas. And so then once they know who we are and where this is coming from, it talks about the things we just noted a moment ago. What's been happening with Spirit? What's been happening with Cargill? What's been happening with private sector investment? To provide them an overview of our city. And then lastly, who do you contact? And so the point of contact coming from this would be Andrew Nave, who's our Executive Vice President of Economic Development, to again help them connect to the city, who can help them move forward their projects as well as the private sector as well.
Is that Andrew's cell number?
That is Andrew's office number. But we can, if you need a cell, we'll take care of that too. But again, this is being mailed out, and as we are having this press conference today, site selectors from across the country, we believe, are opening them right now and to see what's happening on in Wichita. So we'll be personally following up with them after this engagement with them. But again, Mayor, thank you. You challenge us to be creative, and we appreciate that challenge. This is the first step. There are going to be other things that we'll be working with the mayor to unveil in the coming weeks on how is it that we communicate the opportunities in our city. So, Mayor, thank you. Scott, thank you for your team and what you're doing. And certainly Ken and Jamie, thank you for your creative work as well. So,
I told you we look for unique ways to do things in Wichita, and that certainly is a unique way to tell our story. And again, it's a great story to tell, and a story that certainly Cargill now believes in when they made the announcement that they chose Wichita, and then recently with the $60 million investment. And they made the announcement that for them to do business in a global environment, the best place for them to do that from was Wichita, Kansas. And you can't buy that kind of advertisement, but it helps when we can tell our story in a unique way, because it is about talent, people, affordability, quality of life, and so much more, because we are investing in ourselves in Wichita. We're investing in people, we're investing in quality of life. And that's the message that we heard over and over again from Mayor Cornett last week, that they found out the hard way when they tried to bring United Airlines maintenance facility to Oklahoma City back in the 90s, early 90s, and offered them totally free building for 8,000 employees and $150 million in cash. And United turned them down. And he said it's because we forgot we need to invest in ourselves. And so we've not had to learn that hard lesson, and we're investing in ourselves. And speaking of people willing to invest, we have another great story to tell with next Tuesday when we are going to hear from staff about the developers that have been literally scrambling to spend millions of dollars in Wichita. And I shared this morning to a group that I visit with. It's nice to be in a position today where Wichita looks at putting out RFPs for a couple of pieces of property, and we have nearly 9 different investors. 8 put in formal proposals, and 1 just simply wanted to buy the property. And they're saying, pick me, I want to spend millions of dollars in Wichita. And so, Scott, you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yes, we are indeed excited to talk about this, so much so that my voice is starting to go hoarse. But earlier this spring, or earlier this year, we put out 2 requests for proposals on 2 development sites, one in the downtown over by the new library that's going in today, as well as out at Douglas and Hillside. Combined, they are approximately 12 acres. We had a citizen-led committee led by property owners and citizens within those different areas to lead this review process. Both committees reviewed numerous proposals, 4 on each of the sites. They went through interviews, and in the downtown Delano Catalyst site, we actually did an open house where we had upwards of 150 people attend that open house at the library to see the finalists and what the proposals were. At the conclusion of these committee interviews, they both selected a finalist to recommend to City Council for consideration. At the Douglas and Hillside site, the group that has been selected is called Uptown Landing, LLC, which is led by Mike Brand, Bob Simpson, and Dave Murfin. For the Delano Catalyst site, the committee recommended the EPC Real Estate Group out of Kansas City. So we are excited to bring these forward next Tuesday to Council. We don't have any images to show you today, but we will on Tuesday. So this is a teaser for you to be there to listen to these 2 proposals. We're excited. The Douglas and Hillside Group is proposing a mixed-use project that will probably be north of $25 million with a new investment into the city. And for the downtown Delano Catalyst site, the EPC Group is proposing a mixed use of apartments and office and commercial and hospitality. And that investment will be north of $40 million. So we're excited to bring these forward. We're excited to propose these to Council for consideration. If Council gives us approval to move forward, we'll enter into final negotiations with both groups. So thanks, Mayor, for allowing us to have an opportunity to talk about these 2.
It truly is. It's exciting to hear about people wanting to invest in Wichita and spend money, and because they're excited. And it's a position that staff and others have worked hard to get us in, and what a great time to be mayor. And I pinch myself some days from what a great year, from keeping Cargill here without giving them cash, to launching a USS Wichita, to not only helping Wichita. I'm interested in helping the whole country, and that's why I was able to close the stock market at an all-time high, every index. So I share myself equally now, but just a great time to take advantage of some neat things. Here's the wonderful coincidence that we have, and again, Mayor Cornett talked about how they had fallen so low they couldn't even buy United to come to Oklahoma City. And the reality was, the reason they lost them is United sent a number of their executives to spend a weekend in Oklahoma City and then come back and report. And when they came back and reported, they said, there is no way that we will move to Oklahoma City. There is no way we will ask our employees to move to Oklahoma City. So they were giving them a free building for 8,000 employees, $150 million cash, and they could not buy that. And so when they started out and said, we need to invest in ourselves, this is the beautiful thing. They said, we have to invest in our downtown, because they had great suburbs. You could go to Oklahoma City in the 90s and they had great suburbs. But what they learned is people don't care about that. You can't build a suburb around nothing. And so they started out with a plan to invest in themselves by building walking trails and bike paths downtown, by building a new baseball stadium, by building a new library, by investing in the infrastructure so they could build a river, literally, because they were mowing it twice a year. Now look at Wichita. We've already made the decision to build a new library, and it'll be open in about 12 months. You heard we took the first step last Tuesday to build a new baseball stadium. And we're investing nearly $1.5 million a year in walking trails and bike paths. We're doing those things, and we researched what was most important to people and investing in ourselves because we knew it would make a difference, but we're doing those things that Oklahoma City had to put together a MAPS plan to do, and we've found unique ways to do that in Wichita, Kansas. So that's why I'm so excited. Great time to be mayor of the 48th largest city in the country. So we'll open it up for questions.
Mayor, I'm not sure who would be the best person to answer this question, but specifically, you wanted to come up with something unique, the campaign with the
Sure.
Well, whose idea was it to go to a child's toy when at the beginning you said we wanted to do something different than what we've been doing for the past 20 years, yet you went to something that many people remember from 20 years ago?
Right. If it works, it was my idea. Why don't you speak to that?
Well, if you again look at the audience, a lot of your site selectors, this is something that we pick up and remember favorably. It's something that uniquely takes us back like that to a great moment in our life. And then what we're doing with that is intertwining that with our city's message. So immediately, from taking something that they enjoyed, because I remember, several of you, when you started to see what it was, you were like, man, I remember this. And what did you do? You started going through it, and there was an excitement about it. So it was deliberate in that we went back to something that we knew the demographic of most of the site selectors that we're working with, and that would be a connection. Now, this isn't the only thing. I think this is something that we start the conversation with, and we follow up with it. But we also have a creative team, and we purposely working with the city is how is it that we continue to get that message out? And this is one of those first initial steps. So that's some of the thought process that went behind that.
Jeff, you and the mayor obviously love and believe in this city, yet you said on purpose you left any markings of Wichita, probably except for a post stamp or something, off of the outside of the box, and you don't find out until halfway through the slideshow that it is Wichita. Why? Because there can be a perception, or you want to get past that, show them, hey, these are all these great things.
No, what happens is these individuals receive a lot of information. And so they receive a lot of different brochures and things like that are just on their desk. We wanted to create something that intrigued them to say, what is in that box? And so by it being a blank box, and then it being, when they open it, it intrigues them because what are they doing? They're looking for the right location. They're looking for the right city to locate that company that they're working with because they want it to be successful. So it's simply stated. I think that's the one thing, clear and concise messages, because you only have a few moments with these individuals. And so that's why this is built on clear, concise messaging. There's an intriguing to it, and the thing is that we know that by going through this, they're going to want to know more because all those items are very clear. We had Brad Segal in about a month ago now, out of Denver, Progressive Urban Management Associates, global trends. One of the things he was talking about is the rise of the mid-tier city, which is where we are right now. And they're looking at the opportunities in these cities because if you look at the first-tier cities, the Dallases, the Denvers, what's happening? The affordability of those cities are starting to erode away because they've had a lot of growth. So there's a lot of demand there. So the affordability in housing, the mobility in the cities. Go to any of those cities, and to get around is a several-hour journey. Here it is not. So what we see with Wichita, and Brad saw this, is that we have opportunity here because of the affordable cost of living. We've done great with our infrastructure. We're a city that has the infrastructure in place. A lot of cities like Austin are trying to catch up to that, and the mayor will tell you, you get in that position, it's extremely hard to get on the other side of that, whereas we are well placed here as far as infrastructure. And then also just how we're putting ourselves together. You think about the innovation campus, the new airport, what's happening with downtown development, and all the regional aspect that's coming together. Wichita is well positioned, so we're confident that there's just enough there to intrigue them so that when we do follow up with them, it will be a very productive conversation. Other thoughts, Mayor?
So we're now hearing from global companies that want to call Wichita home, and we've been in conversations with them, and we think that we have a tremendous chance to land some of them. Global companies that want to call Wichita home. The site selector that he was talking about was a little bit embarrassed and shocked at how much he saw happening in Wichita, Kansas, because it's his responsibility to get out there and see what's happening in cities. And he freely admitted Wichita surprised him, that we are a little bit of a hidden gem. So it's purely a coincidence that we're using a tool that surprises people, and halfway through you reveal Wichita, because we are that hidden gem, and we continue to surprise people. And so we think that that's a great story to tell.
I would say one other thing. Look at the table right there. If you walked into someone's office and you saw that, you would want to pick it up because you'd want to know what are you looking at. So again, just in that demonstration right there, I think people will be intrigued to pick it up, even if it wasn't sent to them directly, to see what the story is.
Any other? Yes.
I don't know who this is for, but did I hear that the lead project for the College Hill site is marked $25 million?
Do you know what the number is?
Yes, the Douglas and Hillside project is approximately $25 to $30 million.
Does that seem out of proportion to the rest of that area?
I think for this type of development they're proposing, it's appropriate. And I think what you're seeing in College Hill is the excitement going on there. You'll see the restaurants and commercial activities. You see Clifton Square that just changed hand really quickly with Fork and Fennel and their excitement that's changing hand. That got picked up even before it went out on the street that was for sale. There'll be a new restaurant going in there. So there's excitement going on in College Hill. And I think one of the interesting things that we saw from the proposals is they want to take advantage of the view of looking downtown. It's one of the few places in Wichita that you can have a view shed into downtown. So they want to take advantage of that. This will be a multi-story development to allow the residents of that area to be able to see all around. So it's a unique project. The committee really liked the aesthetics and the architecture that the group's bringing to the table.
Is it similar at all to the tower that was proposed there?
Nowhere near as tall as the tower, but multi-story.
12 stories or
Yeah.
something.